Hello and welcome to Acts of Kindness, Connections Through Caring. My name is Deborah Lee Fader and I'm your host. And today is going to be a great podcast for you. We have so many things to discuss to do with May. We have in Minnesota, we just had opening fishing, so we're going to discuss how you can use the tone of fishing for your own life. And we also have just come from Mother's Day, and we have Memorial Day coming up. So May is chock full of all sorts of emotions. And on top of that, I lost my mother. I have my sister here with me today, and we both lost our mom, and we just buried her last May 9th. So things are pretty fresh for us. And I just want to say that we're going to discuss how to teach fishing, rather than giving a fish, and how mothers nurturing makes us into better people, and how important mothers are in building independence in their children. And we also want to say thank you for your service. Those of you that have families, you may have lost someone in one of the wars or during an active duty or non-active duty. And we want to thank them for their hard service and for all they have done to make our country safe thus far. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my sister, Shelley. We talk about her so much in the podcast,
Hi.
but hi, Shell. I just would like you all to get to meet her, since she's brought up so many times. So Shelley's here. Yeah, hi, Shelley.
Hi there.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. This is really great. We've been through some tough times over this past week burying our mother, and we want to talk about sustainable living through being independent. Our mother was fiercely independent. What do you say, Shelley?
Absolutely. She was fiercely independent, and she tried to help us also to be independent, and that was good. But we also learned that we needed to reach out at times and couldn't be entirely independent, but as you've said before, interdependent on people that we love and trust. And
Yes.
that's something that I think we should share.
I do too, because independence has a lot to do with mentorship. And you and I, in growing up with such of an independent mother, also had to find mentoring in other people outside of our mom many times in our life. And I want to give a shout out to the memory of Betty Darrell Davis, who was my dance teacher. She had helped me through so many things in life, and surviving high school and all of the things a person goes through during their teen years. And you also had a marvelous mentor in your mother-in-law.
Oh, I sure did. I definitely did. I had my mother-in-law from my first marriage. My late husband died about 23 years ago, and I've remarried. But his mom was absolutely phenomenal, and she was a wonderful mentor in my life. And she was just one of them. And we had other mentors as well. We had beautiful neighbors when we were growing up as children, and even as early as or as close to just a few days ago, one of the beautiful women in our lives from our neighborhood when you and I were growing up, Debbie, her name is Faye. She came up to me and she hugged me at Mom's funeral, and she said, "I am your mother." And I
You can
just
tell me
laughed.
anything.
And I just, yes, she's like, "I am here for you and I am your mother." And she gave me this beautiful hug, and I laughed. It helped me recall a memory from our childhood when I used to say, "Mrs. Brackett, can you be my mother?" And she would always say, "I am your mother." It was the cutest thing.
It was.
And I think it was really sweet because we grew up in a beautiful neighborhood with lots of moms that were all stay-at-home moms, and our mom at that time was a stay-at-home mom, and they had really good friendships, and they nurtured each other as women and as mothers, and the children collectively. It was beautiful. It was really a sweet, sweet time of life growing up in the 60s.
Yeah, growing up in the 60s, that was a time of so much change. And our mom fell
Mhm.
right lockstep into it with not the burn the bra so much, but she just wanted to
That was
really,
the
really,
70s.
yeah, that was the 70s. But she wanted to regain her independence and go back to school. And actually, our parents separated during that time period. And that was a tough thing to go through, a divorce for kids, I think is really a tough thing. We were latchkey kids. And so we'd come home, and as time went on, during the early or late 60s and into the early 70s, where's mom? Mom's studying. Mom's at school. Mom has a class at night. Mom has, and so we kind of had to raise ourselves. And we really heavily did depend upon what I call the tribe. We had a tribe, and that was the mothers and fathers in the neighborhood, and our dad was always there for us as we grew up. And you had wanted to be a mother all your life, and you became one and did so successfully. And I was a career kid. I wanted to be a singer, and I went and did that. And so we've had the mentorship we needed and that big tribe helping us through everything. So it's so important to have to become a full human being. And it takes a long time, wouldn't you say? It's a self actualized situation when you finally do become independent and you are able to be positive and mentor other people. And I know you and I have both mentored people throughout our lifetimes as we've been growing up, and now we're definitely in the twilight years, and we continue to do that. Did you have anything that you wanted to talk about with the fishing idea besides the fact that it was opening fishing this past?
Oh gosh, well, what I was just thinking about as you were talking about how it takes a lot of time to grow and to mature and to become the person that you are meant to be fully alive.
Yes.
It made me think of a story about a book that I've had as a favorite book when my children were small, and then also I shared with our grandmother, our dad's mom, Grandma
Emma.
Regina, and it was The Velveteen Rabbit. And it was it's a classic story. You probably all know about it. And it's about a little rabbit that is brand new and shiny and wants to be real, and is given as a Christmas gift one morning to a little boy, and learns from the other toys in the toy box that from Skin, I think it was Skin Horse, or anyways, learned that in order to be real, you had to be loved. And so this toy, this brand new shiny toy, wanted to be loved and wanted to be real. And so series of events happened that he became the favorite toy, and was loved dearly by his owner, the young boy, and ultimately had all the stuffing out and broken buttons and seams, and just was dirty and looked very old at the time when he realized that he had become real.
Yes, and
And
was
yeah,
real,
and
really
sometimes I'm like,
loved, really
yeah,
loved.
really loved, and I think we're at least I'm on the quest of becoming real, and
We hope
it's
we are.
it's not easy.
Yeah, it isn't
There's a lot
easy.
of bumps and bruises along the way, but we're, as women and as mentors, um, I think we get there.
That's the same with the idea of the Queen of Kindness, is all about
Hmm.
having all those bruises and the bumps and the stuffing sticking out and all of those, really. And you learn to become real, and that's when you can start to exercise your kindness more than anything. So what we want to talk about with this sustainable living through independence is that you do become a full human being, you're self actualized, and it
Hmm.
is selfless. It's not selfish. So
Yes.
it would be so selfish to have your way all the time and to be comfortable as an individual all the time. In order to help others prosper, you must be selfless first. And it teaches others to be independent. So what is selflessness? In contrast to selfish behavior. We're teaching and mentoring other people to to go through those bumps and bruises and to come out on the other side. Hopefully there's a light on the end of the tunnel, and it does take a lot of nurturing to become a kind person. And it's in contrast to that selfish behavior. So with opening fishing, my husband's an avid fisherman. Our grandparents were avid fishermen on our dad's side. And both our grandparents taught you and I how to fish. Um,
Yes.
and they gave us the basics. And tell that little story you were telling me this morning about what you did going down to Lake Street and to Sears. This is so
It's kind of
cool.
a funny story. I mean, you didn't even know about it,
No.
but we would go up to Lake Cavatogama, way up north, in northern Minnesota, and that's where our grandfather, our grandparents, Grandma Ray, Regina, and Grandpa Bob taught us how to fish. And we also learned how to fish and share with our cousins too, as we were all learning to fish, and our dear cousin Michael became a fabulous fisherman. But I was probably pretty good at putting a worm on a hook or putting the minnows on, and I could catch a fish easily,
Ooh,
but
that's so
I
good.
had a difficult time taking the fish off. But one of the challenges that I had as a little girl was Grandpa suggested that, well, Shell, you should really get your own fishing pole. And so when we went back to the cities,
Mhm.
um, I got on a bus, the little city bus that was across the street, and I took it to downtown, not downtown Minneapolis, but to about 31st and Lake Street. And there was a Sears building there, Sears Tower, and they had a wonderful fishing department. And I purchased a rod and the lures, and I was so all excited about it. And I had my little tackle box, and then I got back and I used my own money from babysitting.
Oh my
And
God.
then I got back on the I did, and then I got back on the bus and went home. And we lived across the street from a little lake called Lake Nokomis, which we
Okay.
just learned. Well, what Lake Nokomis is, we have a nephew that did a beautiful eulogy for our mother
Mhm.
and for his grandmother, and he mentioned that the Lake Nokomis, which was the lake across the street from our mother's home, was it means, and I can't remember exactly if it was Ojibwe or what it was,
Yeah.
but it means grandmother,
Yeah.
and that was our mother's favorite place in the world, and she would take her grandchildren, which would be our nephews, and then also my four children.
Mhm.
She would take them to the lake
That's right.
when they were growing up. And so they had really fond memories of that. And so I thought that was really sweet.
That is so cool. And
So,
it's also that our mom used to walk around that lake.
yes, she did. She
It's a
did.
3.5 miles, I think. And she would do that almost every day. And did it
Yes.
for many years. She called it her therapy. And she would bring all of us too. We'd go along on long walks with her. And then my little thing, even to this day, if I go fishing with my husband, he supplies me.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
here's your rod and reel. It's all together, and I will bait your hook. Isn't that
Yeah,
nice? Because I
I'll
don't
do
like,
that. I
I don't
can,
like to catch those things.
I just don't want to take the fish off of the hook.
Oh,
I always give it to my husband. I remarried a gentleman whose father was also a fabulous fisherman, and Harley was his name, and they have wonderful memories of fishing the Missouri River,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, and so if I go fishing, I always have someone else take the fish off
Do
the
you
hook.
really? Oh
I
my
do.
goodness, that is
Hmm.
so funny.
Yeah.
We used to take this little dog, my sister-in-law's little dog by the name of Archie. He was named Archie for Archie Bunker, and his attitude
Oh,
was like Archie Bunker from the show. And anyway, so when we'd pull the fish out of the lake, the little dog, and he was just this little sheepoo. He would go up and kiss that fish, and then we'd take it right off.
that's
Oh,
funny.
yeah, I know. And little Archie just passed away about a year ago too. So yeah,
Oh,
still
wow.
miss him also. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we've been through some things. It's interesting that you have to sometimes you don't want to invest the time in teaching people how to fish, but that's a lazy way to go about it. You need to teach people so that they can be self-sufficient. And another reason that we would rather just give somebody, just give them a fish is because we don't have the patience to actually have them bait their own hook and then take the fish off and whatnot. We You have to learn how to fish, and that's just it's a metaphor. Really, it's from the Bible. And correct me if I'm wrong, Shelley. Isn't that one of the parables of from Jesus that we need to um, teach people how to fish for themselves so that they can become independent and they can take care of themselves rather than just sitting back and you take the easy way out and you don't want to invest any time in somebody, so you just throw them that fish, and that isn't the way to develop a good human being. So the follow through on that is so important. You want to start what you finish, and then also when you make mistakes too, it's like having a brick, you've dropped your brick, well, you pick it up and you move on. So that's another thing to learn. You can't learn and you can't teach without mentioning that you need to continue on with your journey. So, we all have our bumps in the road, but we need to move on. Tell us what it was like for you. I mean, I was the auntie, but as far as raising four kids, that was a
Oh
big job.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a big job, and right, no, yes, it was a big job, and it's something that I embraced beautifully because it's what I always wanted to do ever since I was just a little girl. And I think I've even heard stories that I used to carry around a little baby in my hand.
Yeah.
I don't, do you remember
You had
that?
an imaginary
So,
friend for a
and
while.
yes,
Hmm.
which was a baby,
Yes.
of course.
Yes. I didn't know that
Yeah,
it was a
but
baby, actually. I thought it was just
oh,
like a little friend.
yeah, no, I
I
don't
was
know,
older.
but I'm sure it was, had to do with my desire for to be a mother and motherhood, and of course, I'm also a Catholic, and I love the Blessed Mom, and she's the perfect example of motherhood and the own her own self-sacrifice and with raising her son, and of course he's Jesus Christ, and that's the sacrifice of all for all. But I love the image of her selflessness. Not
Hmm.
not at all is was she ever selfish, but selfless, and it's a beautiful example.
Yeah.
So but anyways, going back to my four kids, it was really a delightful, being their mom and raising them. And of course, after losing their dad, I was able to meet another man who was introduced to me by my children and his daughter. Our children were in a camp together, and then a couple weeks after the camp, the children all saw each other again, and that's how we met. And it was really beautiful and vibrant, and we put our family together, and it's been, not without challenges, but everything is has challenges. I mean, waking up is a challenge,
Yeah.
to be honest. So, but but it has been a marvelous and wonderful way for all of us to grow together as a family. And we just had our fourth wedding out of the five children. We had our fourth wedding a couple weeks ago, and that was fabulous. It was wonderful, and everybody was there, and the grandkids, of which we have four grandchildren, they were all together, and that was really fun. The kids, our daughters, didn't realize that they were going to see each other on the same flight, in a
Oh,
connecting
yeah.
flight in Atlanta. And so they connected, and the grandkids were, so excited to see each other. It was darling. And then our kids sent us the videos of the kids being together, and it just was really a warm reminder of growing families. And it's beautiful. We have another grandson, or not, I shouldn't say that. I don't know if it's a grandson,
Oh,
but we have another one that is on the way,
yep.
and another child, might be a little girl, might be a little boy, but we're all excited because this family is growing, and I think that's what we're supposed to do, is grow as a family and grow independently and collectively as a whole,
Mhm.
but also to grow individually. And
Yes.
I'm growing
And
older, so I like that.
yeah. Hopefully we're getting smarter as we grow older too. And for me, it's, I was very career oriented. I didn't have children during the time when most people do have kids. And I met my husband later in life and became a stepmom, and have
Mm-hmm.
been totally unconditionally welcomed into his family as well. And I have
Mm-hmm.
two grandchildren now, plus my my son, I call him my son, and my daughter-in-law. And I called her, I said, Happy Mother's Day to my beautiful daughter. Oh, she just loved hearing that from me. And
That's so sweet.
so yeah, and God always tends to give us exactly what we need when we need it, if we are faithful to our higher power. And I was very faithful to mine. And when I met Brad, it was just a new beginning for me. And God bestowed upon me all of the things that I had missed out on, such as rearing a family. And I was able to do it a little later in life. So a lot to be
That's
thankful.
beautiful.
A lot to be thankful for. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, for sure.
And then
And if I can just interject one little thing
do
about
whatever.
grandmothers,
Oh
this
yeah.
is a cute story that our own mother said to me several years ago, and it kind of dovetails into the whole Velveteen Rabbit thing
Yeah.
as well, growing older and having, embracing getting older and embracing life. And I remember Mom said to me, Shell, someone's got to be the grandmother, as she was letting her hair go gray and her smile lines and everything. And so now every once in a while I look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, someone's got to be the grandma.
Right. Someone
So,
has to have some look, at least look like they have wisdom.
right, right. And so now, with our mom gone,
Yeah.
we're the next in line. We're the
Right.
oldest in our within our collective generation of family. And so we're the
Matriarch.
maternal, right. Yeah, we're the matriarchs. So,
Hmm.
hey, embrace it.
Yes. And then what I was going to do was um, something that we had talked about when we were working on the podcast, is that you have to keep the line in the water.
Oh, yeah.
And that was your idea, the keeping the line in the water, because you will receive more fish than you ever expected, if you
Right.
pull the line out too early. So that has to do with experience, I think, and also having a clear vision of where you want to be and who you want to be. It can't be just a one eye. You've got to open both eyes and consider all of your the good things, the bad things within yourself, and consider what kind of goals you want to make in order to finally turn into a better human being and maybe have 3 or 4 dimensional um, thought patterns and growth within yourself. We aren't just like a paper doll, like a flat piece of paper. We all have many sides to ourselves, and all those things make us into better people as we teach others to fish. So we're always on a journey. We're always learning something new, and we have to see that being interdependent is much more um, efficient, I guess I would say, than being codependent. There's a difference between interdependency and codependency. You have to actually try to grow in as many ways as you possibly can, and teaching others to fish is a very good goal to have in mind.
And I really like that, you know, keeping the line in. It's showing that you're willing to stay and to to live, to embrace what comes. And if you don't, if you took the line out, then, you know, essentially you're giving up.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of keeping that line in and keep going.
Tell us that um, about Michael on Lake Cabotogama. We, yeah, and all of us too. That it's a circle. You
Yes.
hopefully life is a cycle, and when we love, we are returning as we get older. We're always returning to
Hmm.
childhood, and it's it's important to try to develop as much character within those we're mentoring. And tell us about Tristan. One,
Oh,
he's so
I was going
cute.
to tell you
Oh
about
God.
Michael.
Oh, you can tell us about Michael
Yeah,
and
no.
yeah.
So Michael, our cousin, is it okay to say where he chose to go after?
Yeah.
So Michael
Sure.
was ill during the COVID time,
Yeah.
and he actually no, I think he fell down on ice and had a injury,
Injury. Yeah.
and it was during that whole COVID
Hmm.
time. But ultimately, Michael did pass,
Hmm.
and but his wish was to go back to the lake that
Yeah.
he had learned to fish on.
Yep.
And so as a family, you and I and his brother and sister-in-law and his own children and um, significant other, we all went up to the lake that we used to go to when our grandparents had their home
Right.
in
And Rick, our
Cabatoga.
brother, would go too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would go to
Hmm.
that. He wasn't able to go to this particular celebration of life, which was sad. We missed him,
Hmm.
but we had a beautiful celebration of life for Michael
Hmm.
that his children planned, and it was on the lake, and kind of like Lake Nokomis for our
Yeah.
mom. Not that mom chose to do that, but there's certain places in time that capture, in essence, a moment that is a memory, and
Yeah.
it is a way to honor uh, those that we love. So
Yeah.
that's Michael. So
Yeah.
now I think of Cabotogama being Michael's lake.
Yep. Me
So,
too.
and
Me
the place
too.
that we learned to fish.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
And
And then as far as Tristan, so that's one of our grandchildren. So we have two granddaughters and two grandsons. But this little Tristan, who I absolutely think is just the cat's meow, um, I was babysitting for them last summer, and I said, Tristan, tell Nana what you want to be when you grow up. And he looked at me and he was like, a fisherman. I want to be a fisherman. And the way he said it with those big blue eyes, it was really cute. I want to be a fisherman. It was like, obviously, don't
yeah.
you know this, Nana? It's so obvious. And I didn't know, but his other grandmother, who has a place on the intercoastal,
Mhm.
takes the kids fishing. And so he loves fishing. And I'm so grateful that he has people that help him
Yep.
go and do what he loves. So he's
That,
young,
yep.
but I hope he does it for life.
Oh, I'm sure he will. That's the exciting thing about teaching people to fish is that
Hmm.
it does become a lifetime uh, skill, a lifetime memory, and it's always something to go back to during times of trouble. So,
Yeah.
the fishing and well, in Minnesota, we've got fishermen, hunters. Your husband's a hunter. My husband's a hunter. That's just
Right.
a part of our folkloric background being a Minnesotan. So
Hmm.
I think it's great that Tristan, living in Florida, would of course want to be a fisherman, but he gets to, instead of fishing for walleye, he gets to fish for the big swordfish and all the bluefins and all of that
Yeah.
as time goes on in the ocean. So
Yeah. For their little Christmas gift, my husband, Papa and Nana
uh,
sent, we sent fishing poles and the fishing gear to both Tristan and Isla, which was really sweet. I think they both really liked it.
and they
And it's kind of funny because when the kids have come back, our kids, um, they have left their fishing poles here in Minnesota. So they're in our garage right now.
oh.
So yeah,
Well, they'll get to go
fishing.
fishing on Lake Pepin, and
Yep,
we
they
fish
sure
on Lake
will.
Minnewaska with our grandkids. So it's always fun to be able to do those things with them
Yes,
and watch
absolutely.
them be successful. And they're learning those life skills: how to be patient, how to be successful with through the patience, and to gather the fish for themselves. And this is what we need to pass on to other people. So it does help to become an self-actualized individual. I remember we talked about that before. And by teaching people how to fish, we are spreading the kindness and being able to teach them how to care for themselves. So,
Yes.
and it does take a lot of patience. I mean, mentoring is in some ways it's a thankless job, but when you get older, as we have in our age group, we can see the benefits of
Hmm.
having been patient and having taught people how to fish, and we continue on the journey. You're never too old to learn something new.
That's
And
true.
yep, and that's what I like. I just once again want to remind people about Memorial Day weekend coming up all across our
Hmm.
country. Please thank a fellow service member sometime during this month. They're all out there, and also service member, meaning men and women.
Hmm.
And we want to say happy heavenly um, Memorial Day to our dad.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
he was a naval captain and had taught us how to fish as well.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
so much.
you.
I love you.
I love you, and I'm so glad that you agreed to come on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. And I just wanted to also say goodbye to everybody and thank you for watching this special May podcast. And I'm looking forward to talking to you next time. God bless you all.